You enter this world screaming, not because of the cold air hitting your wet skin, and not because of the harsh fluorescent lights of the hospital room. You scream because, in the traction of that first breath, you feel the terrible heaviness of gravity, you feel the separation. Moments ago, you were everything floating in a void of pure potential, connected to the source of all things. And now, you are small, you are fragile, you are limited, you are born into a conspiracy of silence. For the first few years, you still remember the secret. You stare at dust motes dancing in a sunbeam and you know you are moving them with your mind. You look at a dog and you hear its thoughts, clear as a bell, vibrating in your chest. You try to tell your parents that the wall is not solid, that it is just a humming vibration of light, but they laugh. They coo. They hand you a plastic rattle and tell you to play. Slowly, the conditioning begins. It is not malicious. It is the way of the world. It is the inheritance of the sleepwalkers. Your mother, your father, your teachers, they are all hypnotized. And their job, though they do not know it, is to hypnotize you too. They give you a name. They tell you this name is you. They point to your body. They tell you this flesh is you. They point to the world outside the pavement, the economy, the weather, the traffic, and they tell you that this is reality and that it is hard, unyielding, and completely out of your control. Be realistic, they say. Don't get your hopes up, they warn. Life is a struggle. They chant like a dark mantra. And because you are small, and because you need their love to survive, you agree. You sign the invisible contract. You agree to forget that you are the dreamer of the dream. You agree to become a character in the script rather than the writer of the play. By the time you are 7, the magic is gone. The dust motes are just dust. The dog is just an animal. The wall is a solid barrier that will hurt you if you run into it. You have successfully downloaded the program. You are now a normal human being. You have fallen asleep. Chapter 2. The Grey Architecture of the Matrix. Fast forward. You are 25, or perhaps 30. The years have blurred into a grey smear of compliance. You did what you were told. You went to the schools where they taught you to repeat information but never how to think. You sat in rows like products on an assembly line waiting to be stamped with a grade. You learned that your worth was determined by external validation, by a red check mark on a paper, by a nod from a boss, by a number in a bank account. Look at you now. You wake up to an alarm you hate. You drink coffee not for the taste, but to jumpstart a nervous system that is already exhausted. You commute through traffic, surrounded by thousands of other souls in metal boxes, all rushing to places they don't want to be, to pay for things they don't need, to impress people they don't like. You feel a phantom ache in your chest. It's a subtle frequency, a low hum of dissatisfaction. It's the feeling of wearing a shoe that is one size too small every single day. You try to numb it. You scroll through infinite feeds of other people's curated happiness. You watch the glowing rectangles. You drink on the weekends to turn off the noise in your head. You seek relationships, hoping another person can fill the void, but they are just as hollow and frightened as you are. You cling to each other like two drowning swimmers, pulling each other under. You call this life. But deep down, in the quiet moments before sleep takes you, you know it is a lie. You look in the mirror and you see a stranger. The eyes staring back at you are tired. They are ancient. They are screaming silently, asking, "Is this it? Is this all there is? Work, consume, age, die." The universe is listening to you, though you do not know it yet. The universe is a mirror, and it reflects your despair perfectly. Because you believe life is hard, life must show you hardness. Because you believe money is scarce, your bank account remains empty. Because you believe love is painful, your heart keeps breaking. You are a master creator, using your power to create a prison. Then comes the crash. It usually happens all at once. The structure you built on sand collapses. Maybe you lose the job that defined your identity. Maybe the person you thought was your soulmate walks out the door without looking back. Maybe a diagnosis lands on your lap like a heavy stone. The floor falls out. You are in free fall. The darkness swallows you. This is not depression. This is the dark night of the soul. It is the universe doing you a favor. It is breaking your heart to let the light in. You find yourself walking through the city streets at night, crying, or perhaps staring at a blank ceiling at 3 a.m., the silence deafening. You have reached the end of your rope. You have tried it their way. the way of force, the way of effort, the way of the world, and it has failed you. You surrender. You whisper into the dark, I don't know what to do. Show me. If there is anything out there, show me. And that is the command. That is the key turning in the lock. Chapter 3. The discovery of the artifact. It finds you 3 days later. It doesn't come with a choir of angels or a bolt of lightning. The universe prefers to move through the path of least resistance coincidence. You are walking past a used bookstore you've passed 1,000 times and never noticed. But today, the light hits the dusty window in a specific way. A pull in your gut, magnetic, undeniable, draws you inside. The smell of old paper and vanilla surrounds you. The air is still, thick with the suspended thoughts of dead authors. You walk to the back, to a section labeled Metaphysics, or perhaps Esoteric Philosophy. You don't know why. Your hand moves before your mind does. Your fingers trail across the spines. The Kybalion, the power of awareness. The law of one. Corpus Hermeticum. And then you see it. It might be a small leather-bound volume with no title on the spine, or perhaps a tattered paperback from the 1940s with yellowed pages. It looks insignificant. It looks fragile. But when you touch it, a shock of static electricity zaps your fingertips. Not painful, but sharp. A signal. You pull it off the shelf. You open it to a random page. The text is dense, the language archaic or perhaps strangely direct. You read a sentence. The world is nothing more than a mirror of your internal conversation. You are not in the world is in you. You blink. You read it again. Stop trying to change the reflection in the mirror. You cannot comb the hair of the reflection. You must comb your own hair, and the reflection will have no choice but to follow. A chill races down your spine. It's that feeling of déjà vu, the sensation of remembering something you didn't know you knew. The words aren't teaching you. They are reminding you. They are unlocking the code that was written in your DNA before the conditioning erased it. You buy the book. The cashier, an old man with cloudy eyes, looks at the book, then looks at you. He doesn't smile. He gives you a look of grave seriousness. Be careful with that one, he mutters. It works. You laugh nervously. You think he's joking. He is not joking. You take the book home. You make a cup of tea. You sit in your cheap armchair in your dim apartment, and you open the cover. Warning. What you are about to read destroys the victim. If you love your victimhood, if you love your story of how hard life is, close the book now. Burn it, because once you see the mechanism, you can never unsee it. Once you realize you are the operant power, you can never blame your parents, your boss, or the economy again. You are about to accept total responsibility. You turn the page. Chapter 4. The first law, mentalism, you read through the night. The words burn into your mind. The book explains that there is a hidden interface to reality. Most people live on the user surface. They move physical objects, they talk, they work, they struggle. But the code that dictates where the objects go, what the people say, and how the work turns out, that code is written in the imagination. The book calls it the law of assumption, or mentalism, or the quantum observer effect. The label doesn't matter. The mechanic is the same. The core premise, consciousness, is the only reality. The physical world is just a delayed echo of what you did with your consciousness yesterday, last week, last year. You pause. You look around your apartment, the peeling paint, the stack of unpaid bills, the emptiness on the other side of the bed. According to this book, you created this, not consciously. You didn't say, I want debt, but you lived in the feeling of lack. You rehearsed arguments in the shower that never happened. You worried about the future. You replayed past failures. You kept the state of being of a struggler active in your mind. And the universe, faithful and obedient servant that it is, said, your wish is my command. You are the struggler. Very well. Here are more bills. Here is a flat tire. Here is a rude stranger. I will prove you right. Anger rises in you. This feels insulting. I didn't ask for this pain, you shout at the empty room. But the book answers you in the next chapter. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. You are constantly broadcasting a signal, a signature of identity. Reality is simply the screen that displays your signal. You put the book down, you feel dizzy. If this is true, it means you are not a victim. It means you are a sleeping god who has been having a nightmare. You decide to test it. The book offers a challenge, a ladder experiment, or a pink feather experiment. It tells you to imagine something specific, something trivial, something you have no emotional attachment to. You choose a blue butterfly. You close your eyes. You feel foolish. You sit there, a grown adult, trying to summon a blue butterfly with your mind. Step 1. You relax your body. You enter the state akin to sleep, the hypnagogic state where the conscious mind drifts and the subconscious door swings open. Step 2. You construct a scene. You imagine a blue butterfly. You don't just see it. You feel the tickle of its legs. You see the iridescent shimmer of the wings. You feel the joy of seeing it. Step 3. You loop this scene over and over until it feels real, until it has the tones of reality. Step 4. You drop it. You open your eyes. You go about your day. For 2 days, nothing happens. You feel silly. You berate yourself for believing in fairy tales. I'm just desperate, you tell yourself. Magic isn't real. On the 3rd day, you are walking to work. You are scrolling on your phone, head down, ignoring the world. You nearly bump into a woman standing on the sidewalk. Oh, sorry, you say, stepping back. She turns. She is wearing a bright blue t-shirt. On the front of the shirt is a massive photorealistic print of a blue butterfly. Time stops. The noise of the city fades out. You stare at the shirt. The woman looks at you strangely and walks away. Your heart hammers against your ribs. Coincidence? Maybe. But the feeling in your gut says otherwise. The feeling is terror, because if you could create the butterfly, what else have you created? The car accident last year? The breakup? The depression? Did you do it all? You rush home. You grab the book. You look at it with new eyes. It's not a book anymore. It's a weapon. And you are holding the trigger. Chapter 5, The Paradox of Effort. You dive deeper. You become obsessed. You stop watching TV. You stop hanging out with your friends who only want to complain about politics and the weather. You can't listen to their complaints anymore because you see what they are doing. They are weaving their own cages with their words, and you want to shake them to scream, stop scripting your misery. But the book warns you. Silence. Do not cast your pearls before swine. Keep the secret. Build the energy within. You learn the second law, the law of least effort. For your whole life you are taught to hustle, to grind, to push the boulder up the hill. The book flips this upside down. Force negates. The moment you try to force reality, you are confirming that you do not have what you want. Effort is the evidence of doubt. This is the hardest part for you. You want more money. You desperately need to fix your financial situation. So you sit in your chair and you try to manifest money. You scrunch your face. You strain your brain. You chant affirmations like a desperate beggar. I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. But inside you feel poor. And the universe hears the feeling, not the words. Result. You get an unexpected bill for $500. You throw the book across the room. It's a lie. But later you pick it up. You read the dog-eared page again. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must ignore the evidence of your senses. If you were wealthy now, would you be anxious? Would you be chanting frantically? No. You would be calm. You would be secure. You must occupy the state of security first, and the money will follow. The paradox. To get the thing, you must stop needing the thing. You must become the person who already has it. You try again. This time, you don't think of the money. You think from the money. You close your eyes. You imagine checking your bank balance on your phone. You see the number. It's high. What is the feeling? Relief. A deep exhale of relief. Shoulders dropping. A subtle smile. Thank you, you whisper, not asking. Thanking. You live in this feeling for a week. You walk around your cheap apartment with the inner posture of a king. You drink your instant coffee with the elegance of someone drinking espresso in a Venetian plaza. You are acting, but not for an audience. You are acting for the subconscious mind, the great director. You stop checking the mail for bills. You stop checking the bank app in panic. You trust the seed you have planted. 7 days later, a letter arrives. Not a bill. It's a refund check from an insurance overpayment you didn't even know existed. $1,200. It's not $1 million, but it is proof. You hold the check. Your hands shake. The wall between inner and outer is crumbling. You realize that the physical world is not solid. It is fluid. It is malleable. It is clay. and your mood is the thumb pressing into it. You feel a surge of intoxicating power. I can have anything, you whisper. I can be anyone. But you are essentially a toddler who has found a loaded handgun. You have discovered the power of creation, but you have not yet mastered the discipline of the mind, and the shadows are listening. Chapter 6, The Backlash. The old man fights back. You get cocky. This is the phase every initiate goes through. You think you have cheated the system. You think you have found the cheat codes to the game of life. You start trying to change everything at once. You want the perfect body, the perfect partner, the promotion, the fame. Your mind becomes a chaotic storm of desires. You are planting 1,000 different seeds in the same patch of soil, and you forget the most important rule. The mental diet. The book warned you, watch your inner conversations. Every thought is an investment. Are you investing in your success or your failure? But you are still human. You have decades of old programming, the old man, living in your neural pathways. One bad day at work triggers you. Your boss yells at you. Instantly, you revert. You fall back into the old script. In your head, you argue with your boss. You call him names. You visualize him getting fired. You replay the humiliation over and over, marinating in hatred and victimhood. You think this is private. You think this happens only inside your skull. Wrong, there is no private. There is only transmission. You have just sent a massive, high-emotion command to the universe. Create conflict, create humiliation, create enemies. 2 days later, chaos erupts. Your landlord gives you an eviction notice. Your car breaks down. You get into a fight with your best friend over nothing. The reality you built is collapsing. You panic. You try to fix it with the book. You sit down to visualize, but your mind is a hurricane of fear. Every time you try to imagine relief, you see disaster. You are visualizing your own destruction with perfect clarity and high emotion. And the universe says, yes, as you believe, so it is. You are manifesting a nightmare. You realize the danger the title spoke of. This book is dangerous because it removes the safety rails. When you were asleep, your thoughts were weak and fuzzy, so your life was dull and grey. Now that you are awake, your thoughts are lasers. If you point them at what you want, you get miracles. But if you slip, if you point them at your fears, you create hell faster than you ever could before. You are standing in the wreckage of your week. The check is spent. The car is smoking. The friend is gone. You sit on the floor, clutching the book. Why? You sob. I did what you said. You open the book. The pages seem to have changed. The text is different, or perhaps you are just ready to see it now. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot switch between the state of the victim and the state of the god. You must die to the old self completely. It is not enough to change your thoughts occasionally. You must change your conception of yourself. The price of power is vigilance. Eternal vigilance over the garden of your mind. You let the weeds back in, and now they are strangling the harvest. You realize the magnitude of the task. This isn't a magic trick. This isn't a life hack. This is a war. A war between the person you were conditioned to be and the power you actually are. You stand up. You wipe your face. You are scared. Good. You should be. You understand now that there is no turning back. You cannot go back to sleep. You cannot pretend you don't know that you are the cause of it all. If you stop now, you will just manifest chaos unconsciously for the rest of your life. The only way out is through. You have to master this beast. You have to tame the mind. You go to the mirror. You look at the terrified, exhausted face of the old man. Goodbye, you say. You resolve to begin the real work, not just for a check or a butterfly, but for a total reconstruction of your soul. You turn the page to part 2, the discipline of the silence. The training wheels are off. The door of your old life locks behind you. You hear the click. There is no fanfare. There is only the silence of your apartment and the terrifying realization of what you have committed to. You have declared war on your own history. You have decided to stop being a reactive animal and start being a proactive creator. And the first step, the book tells you, is the mental diet. You think a food diet is hard? You think cutting out sugar is difficult? Try cutting out negativity. Try cutting out the addiction to suffering. You realize, with horror, that you are addicted to your own pain. You love the drama. You love the self-pity. It gives you a rush of cortisol that makes you feel alive, even if that life is miserable. The book commands, you must stand guard at the door of your mind, you are the bouncer of an exclusive club. Do not let the unwashed, drunken thoughts of doubt and fear enter the VIP section of your imagination. Day one is a massacre. You try to drive to work. Someone cuts you off. Habit, what an idiot. People are terrible. Correction, you catch yourself. You physically bite your tongue. You force the thought out. No, everyone is pushing me toward my destination. Even him. I am safe. I am flowing. It feels fake. It feels plastic. You feel like a lunatic smiling at a car crash. By noon, you are exhausted. Your brain physically hurts. You realize that 90% of your daily mental caloric burn was used to sustain anger, judgment, and fear. Without them, you feel empty. You feel bored. You sit at lunch with your coworkers. They start the ritual. Did you hear about the layoffs? The economy is tanking. My back is killing me. Normally, you would chime in. You would offer your own misery as a token of belonging. But today, you stay silent. You sip your water. You are in the world, but not of it. They look at you. You? Okay. You're quiet. I'm fine, you say. Just thinking. You are not just thinking. You are pruning. You are watching the conversation like a hawk, refusing to emotionally agree with their reality. You realize how lonely this path is. To become a master, you must essentially become an alien in your own social circle. You can no longer afford the luxury of a negative conversation. Weeks pass. The silence grows. You stop watching the news. You stop listening to sad songs. You curate your input strictly. And something strange happens. The static in your head clears. The background anxiety, that low hum of doom you've lived with since childhood, begins to fade. For the first time in your life, there is space in your mind, and in that space, you begin to hear the voice. Not a hallucination, but the deep, resonant tone of your own intuition, the operator. It says, now we build. Chapter 8, The Art of Revision. The book introduces you to a tool that sounds like science fiction. It calls it revision. The premise is insane. The past is not fixed. The past is a memory trace, exists only in the present moment. When you recall a memory, you are chemically reactivating it now. If you change the memory, you change the chemical signal you are broadcasting now. And because time is an illusion to the subconscious, changing the past, changing the future trajectory. Do not accept the day as it was. If the day was unlovely, rewrite it. Replay the scene, but this time, make it conform to your ideal. You decide to try it on something heavy. A relationship trauma from years ago. The words that were said that broke you. The moment that defined your insecurity. You lie on your bed. You close your eyes. You summon the scene. It hurts. Your chest tightens. The old man wants to cry, wants to scream, wants to be the victim again. No, you whisper, I am the director. Cut. Take 2. In your imagination, you replay the scene, but this time, the person doesn't yell. They smile. They say, I understand. We are just growing in different directions. I love you, and I set you free. You feel the relief of that imaginary moment. You loop it again and again. The first 10 times your brain rejects it. Liar, it screams. That's not what happened. But you persist. You are the god of this inner world. You force the image. You saturate it with sensory detail, the smell of the room, the light, the sound of the voice. By the 30th repetition, the resistance breaks, your body relaxes. A tear rolls down your cheek, not of sadness, but of release. The charge is gone. The memory no longer bites. You open your eyes. You feel lighter. Literally, it's as if a sandbag has been cut from your ankle. 2 days later, your phone rings. It's them. You haven't spoken in 3 years. You stare at the screen. Your hands tremble. You answer. Hello, hey, the voice says. It sounds soft, different. I was just thinking about you. I don't know why. I just wanted to call and say, I hope you're doing well. No hard feelings, right? You almost dropped the phone. You revised the past, and the present rearranged itself to match the new script. The universe connected the dots backward and forward to make your inner reality true. You realize then that everyone is you pushed out. They are just actors reading the lines you telepathically hand them. If you change the script, they change their performance. You are not a person in a world. You are a world contained in a person. The power is intoxicating, but the universe has a test waiting for you. Chapter 9. The bridge of incidents. You decide to go for the big one. The career. The wealth. You are done with the cubicle. You are done with the scraps. You construct a scene. You are shaking the hand of a CEO. You are signing a contract. You see the number on the check, $150,000. You feel the leather of the chair in your new office. You smell the expensive coffee. You live in the scene every night. You fall asleep in the state of the wish fulfilled. You wake up feeling like a boss. You walk into your current job with a secret smile, knowing it is temporary. And then, on a Tuesday morning, your boss calls you into his office. We're letting you go. Fired, not promoted. Not headhunted. Fired? You stand in the parking lot, holding a cardboard box with your stapler and a dead plant. Panic rises in your throat like bile. I did the work. You scream internally. I visualized. I assumed. And I get fired. This book is bullshit. You go home. You drink. You spiral. You are ready to burn the book. But in the depths of your despair, you open it one last time. You have planted a seed. For the seed to grow, the shell must break. The old structure must be dismantled to make room for the new. Do not judge the appearance of destruction. It is often the bridge of incidents leading you to your desire. You pause. If you are now the person who earns $150,000, you cannot stay in a job that pays $40,000. The universe had to eject you. The firing wasn't a punishment. It was an eviction from a house that was too small for your new soul. You dry your eyes. You decide to trust the free fall. Okay, you say to the empty room, I am not fired. I am being repositioned. You persist. You keep the feeling of the end. You refuse to panic. You apply for jobs, not with desperation, but with the arrogance of a prize to be won. 3 weeks of silence. The bank account dwindles. The fear is a wolf scratching at the door. This is the valley of the shadow. This is where 99% of people quit. They look at the lack of results and say, it didn't work. They react to the 3D world and abort the pregnancy of the 4D desire. You do not quit. You eat your fear. You wake up every morning and put on the suit of the successful man, even though you have nowhere to go. Then the phone rings. It's an old contact. Someone you met briefly at a conference years ago. I heard you left your old place, he says. Funny timing, we're looking for a director. We need someone with exactly a weird mix of skills. Can you come in tomorrow? You go in. The interview flows like water. You aren't trying to impress them. You are interviewing them because you already know you have the job. Your confidence born from weeks of living in the end is magnetic. They smell the authority on you. They offer you the job. The salary, $145,000, plus a signing bonus. You sign the contract. You sit in the leather chair. You smell the coffee. It is the exact scene, down to the pixel. The disaster of getting fired was the only way this could have. The bridge was scary, but it took you to the other side. You sit in your new office, looking out at the city skyline. You should be ecstatic. You should be popping champagne, but you aren't. You feel a strange, calm neutrality because you already lived this moment 100 times in your head. The physical reality is just the afterimage. The thrill of creation was in the imagining. The manifestation is just the receipt. You have mastered the law of assumption. You can get things, but now the stakes get higher because now you want someone. Chapter 10. The specific person in the shadow. The book warned you about this. Be careful when dealing with the free will of others. Paradoxically, they have no free will in your reality, but if you try to force them with your ego, you will create a monster. You are lonely. The success is cold without someone to share it with. There is a person, let's call them the one. Maybe an ex, maybe a crush who doesn't know you exist. You decide to use the power on them. You start the sessions. You visualize them loving you. You visualize the ring, the house, the arguments resolved. But this is different from money. Money is neutral. People are heavy. You have resistance. You have a history of rejection. When you visualize them, you feel a mix of love and desperate need. You are not living in the end. You are living in the lack. You are visualizing in order to get them, not simply experiencing the joy of being with them. The universe reflects your desperation. You text them, no reply. You check their social media. They are with someone else. Jealousy explodes in your chest like a grenade. Now the shadow rises. The old man whispers, "See, you're unlovable. The magic works for money, but not for love. You are destined to be alone." You start to witch doctor the situation. You try to telepathically force them to call you. You stare at the phone, willing it to ring. You are pumping out energy of control, manipulation, and fear. And the target pushes away. They block you. They vanish. You hit rock bottom again. Not financial this time, but spiritual. You realize you are abusing the power. You are using it like a sorcerer, not a creator. You are trying to manipulate the shadows in the mirror instead of changing the face in front of it. You go back to the book. No one to change but self. You cannot force someone to love you if you do not believe you are the prize. You must become the person who is loved. You must marry yourself first. This is the hardest work yet. You have to take your focus off the one and put it entirely on yourself. You have to kill the needy version of you. You start a new regimen called You stand in the mirror. You look at your eyes. I am the catch, you say. I am chosen. I am loved. I am complete. You repeat it until you believe it. You date yourself. You buy yourself flowers. You take yourself to nice dinners. You stop waiting for the text. You truly, deeply let go. You reach a state called the Sabbath. It is a state of total surrender. You don't care if they come back or not. You are so full of your own love, so stable in your own reality, that their presence would just be the cherry on top, not the sundae. You feel whole. And that is when the doorbell rings. It's 10 p.m. on a rainy Tuesday. You open the door. It's them, soaking wet, crying. I don't know why I'm here, they say. I couldn't get you out of my head. I realized I made a mistake. Can we talk? You stand there, holding the door. You aren't surprised. You aren't even that excited. You feel a deep, ancient compassion. You see them not as an idol, but as a person responding to your signal. Come in, you say. You have the money. You have the love. You have won the game of the world, but the book is not done with you, because getting what you want is only the first half of the mystery. The second half is understanding who is doing the getting. Chapter 11, The Trap of the Ego. Success is dangerous. Failure humbles you, but success convinces you that you are a god. And while the inner you is God, the outer you, the ego, is a fragile little tyrant. You start to feel superior. You look at your friends, your family, the people on the street. You see them complaining, struggling, suffering. You feel contempt. Why don't they just wake up, you think? Why are they choosing poverty? Why are they choosing sickness? You start lecturing people who didn't ask for advice. You tell a grieving friend, you know, you created this. They look at you with horror. You have lost your humanity in exchange for your power. You start using the law for petty things. To get the best parking spot. To make a waiter bring you a free dessert. To make a rival look bad. You are drunk on control. And then the silence returns. But this time, it's different. You go to your imagination to visualize, but the images are flat. The feeling doesn't come. You try to manifest a new car, but it doesn't show up. You try to fix a health issue, but it persists. The connection is severed. You panic. Hello, you scream mentally. I am the operant power. Obey me. Silence. You have fallen into the trap of the magician. You thought the power belonged to you, the little person with the name and the social security number. But the power belongs to the I am, the larger consciousness, and the I am will not be used by the ego. The power flows through. If the pipe becomes clogged with arrogance, the water stops. You feel a darkness creeping in at the edges of your vision, a deep, existential dread. You have everything you wanted, yet you feel completely hollow. You sit in your expensive house, next to your beautiful partner, and you feel like a fraud. The book has one final section. The pages are black, the text is white. The promise. It is not about getting stuff. It is about the birth of something inside you. You thought this journey was about becoming a millionaire. You were wrong. The journey was about shattering the illusion of you entirely. A crisis hits. A health scare. Something the law of assumption doesn't seem to fix instantly. You are lying in a hospital bed, or perhaps waiting for a result. The fear is real. The money can't help you. The partner can't save you. You are stripped naked again, and in that darkness, you realize that you are not the body. You are not the thoughts. You are not even the creator who manifests things. You are the observer, the eternal witness. You close your eyes. You stop asking for things. You stop trying to change reality. You simply say, I surrender. Not my will, but thine. You merge with the great current. And in that surrender, the fear vanishes. The pain dissolves. You feel a love so intense it burns your nervous system. This is not the love of a romance. This is the fire of the source code itself. You understand now? The dangerous book wasn't teaching you how to get toys. It was a training manual for a baby god to grow up. It gave you the toys so you would get bored of them, so you would eventually ask the only question that matters: who am I? Chapter 12, The Death of the Seeker. You leave the hospital, or the crisis passes. You are changed. You still have the money. You still have the relationship. You still live in the world, but you don't hold on to it anymore. You hold everything with an open hand. You walk through the park. You see the blue butterfly again. You smile. You don't need to control it. You don't need to make it land on you to prove you have power. You know you are the sky the butterfly flies in. You go back to the bookstore. The old man is there. He looks at you. He nods. You finished it, he says. I lived it, you reply. You put the book on the counter. I don't need it anymore. Good, he says. Leave it for the next sleeping soul. You walk out into the sunlight. The world looks different now. It's not a prison. It's not a school. It's not a battlefield. It's a playground. And you are finally awake enough to play. But there is one final layer, the deepest secret. You thought you were a human who discovered you were God, but actually, you are God who is pretending to be a human who discovered they are God. The circle is complete. But wait, as you walk down the street, you feel a vibration, a new frequency. The game isn't over. It has just leveled up. You stop. You look up at the sky. The clouds seem to form a grid. The reality glitches just for a second. A flicker of code. You realize that mastering the law of assumption was just graduation from kindergarten. There are other laws, deeper laws. And now that you have mastered the dream, it is time to meet the dreamer. Chapter 13, The Scaffolding of Reality. The glitch you saw in the sky wasn't a hallucination. It was a peek behind the curtain. Once you stop fighting the world, and once you stop desperately trying to manipulate the world, you are finally quiet enough to see the world. And what you see changes everything. You start noticing the synchronization. You think of a song, a car drives by blasting it. You think of a specific number, it appears on a license plate, a receipt, a digital clock. You realize that reality is not a hard, fixed stage where you are a tiny actor. Reality is a responsive, fluid dream that is constantly rendering itself around your focus. You are walking through a busy train station, thousands of people. Before, you saw them as obstacles or as competition. Now with your new eyes, you see the connection. You see the invisible threads of intention connecting every single person. You realize they are not others. They are you, pushed out. They are different iterations of the same consciousness, wearing different costumes, playing different roles to facilitate the drama you unknowingly requested. The angry man yelling at the ticket counter, that's your own repressed frustration, externalized. The loving mother holding her child, that's your own capacity for nurturing reflected. The beggar, your fear of lack. The billionaire, your ambition. They are all you. The separation is the illusion. The unity is the truth. How can you judge the angry man when you know he is just acting out a script you wrote in a moment of unawareness? You feel a wave of compassion that nearly brings you to your knees right there on the cold tile floor. You forgive everyone, not because you are a saint, but because you realize there is no one else to forgive. You are holding a mirror, and you have finally decided to stop shouting at your own reflection. You are no longer a manifestor trying to get a new car. That feels small now. Toys for children. Toys for children. You are an architect realizing you are trapped inside your own blueprint, and the only way to enjoy the building is to remember you built it. Chapter 14, The Golden Rule as Mechanics, Not Morality. The book sits on your shelf, gathering dust. You don't need to read it anymore because the words have dissolved into your blood. You have become the living law. That this level of power brings a terrifying You discover the true meaning of the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Sunday school taught you this was a moral command, a nice thing to do. You realize now it is a mechanical warning because there is no other. Whatever you wish for someone else, you are actually wishing for yourself. If you hate your rival and wish for them to fail, you are impregnating your own subconscious with the vibration of failure. The subconscious doesn't know who rival is. It only knows failure, so it cooks up failure and serves it to you. If you gossip about someone's sickness, you are inviting sickness into your own house. If you resent someone's wealth, you are blocking your own. You become impeccably careful with your thoughts. You become the benevolent monarch of your mind. When you see news of a war, you do not join the collective scream of fear. You do not doom scroll. You close your eyes and you imagine peace. You revise the news report in your mind. You refuse to give your assent to the darkness. 1. People call you delusional. They say you are burying your head in the sand. They don't understand. You are not ignoring reality. You are refusing to perpetuate it. You know that attention is the fuel of the universe. If you withdraw your attention from a war, from a disease, from a conflict, you starve it. If enough people withdraw their attention, the fire dies. You walk through the world as a secret agent of harmony. You enter a room where the vibe is tense. You don't say a word. You simply regulate your own internal state. You assume the feeling of peace. You imagine everyone laughing. Within 5 minutes, the tension breaks. Someone cracks a joke. The energy shifts. They think it just happened. You know you did it. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the temperature. You don't just reflect it. Chapter 15. The Intercessor. You have mastered the art of getting things for yourself. Now the boredom sets in. The ego is satiated. It has the car, the house, the lover, the status. It asks, "What now?" The soul answers, "Now we give." You begin the work of the intercessor. You use your imagination to lift others up. You have a friend who is unemployed and depressed. He calls you, complaining. In the past, you would have given him advice. You would have told him to fix up his resume. Now you know that advice is useless. If his state of consciousness is "I am a failure," so you listen. You nod. You say, "It's going to be okay." But when you hang up the phone, the real work begins. You sit in your chair, you close your eyes, you bring your friend before your mind's eye. But you do not see him depressed. You refuse to see him that way. You visualize him radiant. You hear his voice excited, breathless. "I got the job," you hear him say. "It's amazing. I've never been happier." You feel the joy for him. You feel the handshake. You pop the imaginary champagne. You do this for 3 days. You construct a new reality for him. On the 4th day, he calls. "You won't believe this," he says. "I just got an offer, out of the blue." He thinks he got lucky. You know the truth. You lifted him out of the mire by the power of your vision. You paid his spirit ransom. This becomes your secret hobby. You heal your mother's back pain not by driving her to the doctor, but by seeing her dancing. You fix your neighbor's marriage not by counseling them, by imagining them holding hands. You realize this is what the great mystics and healers of the past were doing. They weren't performing miracles. They were simply holding such a rigid, high-frequency assumption of perfection that the physical illness couldn't exist in their presence. You are becoming a portable portal of grace. Wherever you go, the lights turn green. The rain stops. The arguments cease. Not because you are special, but because you are awake, and the dream always obeys the dreamer. Chapter 16. The collapse of time. The years pass. Or do they? Your relationship with time changes. The old man lived in linear time. He was always regretting the past or worrying about the future. He was never here. The master lives in the eternal now. You realize that tomorrow is a lie. You can never go to tomorrow. When you get there, it will be today. Yesterday is a memory trace you are holding now. Everything that has ever happened or will ever happen is happening right now in the vast, simultaneous field of the imagination. This destroys your anxiety. Why rush? You are already there. Why fear death? The energy that animates you is older than the stars. You stop wearing a watch. You move with a slow, deliberate grace. You drink your coffee as if it is the only event in the universe. You listen to the rain as if it is a symphony played just for you. You are savoring the texture of the simulation. You realize that the purpose of life was never to achieve or arrive. The purpose was the experience. God became you to taste the coffee, to feel the cold wind, to know the heartbreak. to feel the triumph. It was all a game of hide and seek. You hid your divinity in a meat suit so you could have the thrill of finding it again. And now that you have found it, you can play the game with a light heart. You take risks. You start businesses that might fail just for the fun of it. You travel to strange places. You love deeply, knowing that even if you lose the person, you can never lose the love, because the love is you. You are free. Truly, terrifyingly free. Chapter 17, The Promise, but there is one final door. The book hinted at it, but words cannot describe it. Neville Goddard called it the promise. The mystics call it union. It usually happens in the deep of the night, or perhaps during a meditation where you go too deep. The vibration starts at the base of your spine. It is like the roar of a jet engine. It is a golden, liquid fire moving up your back. It is not subtle. It is violent. It is the energy of 1,000 suns. It blasts into your skull, and for a moment, the person with the name, the history, the preferences, the gender is obliterated. Pop. The bubble bursts into the ocean. You are no longer the drop. You are the ocean. You are the space between the stars. You are the silence before the Big Bang. You know with absolute certainty that you are the father, you are the creator of the entire show. You look at your hand and you see it is made of light. You look at the room and you see it is made of light. There is no out there. There is only I am. You hear the laughter. It is the cosmic laughter of relief. I was never in danger, you realize. I was never small. I was never poor. I was never alone. I was just pretending. The vision fades. You slide back into your body. You feel the heavy gravity of the bed. You hear the traffic outside. You are back in the suit. But you are not the same. You can never be the same. You have the mark. You walk differently. Your eyes have a depth that scares people and comforts them at the same time. You have no fear of death, for you have seen what lies beyond the veil, and you know that death is just taking off a tight shoe at the end of a long day. You have fulfilled the destiny of the human caterpillar. You have become the butterfly, but you don't fly away. You stay, because there is still wood to chop. There is still water to carry. Chapter 18, The Return to the Marketplace. They ask you, what is the secret to life? You smile. You are sitting on a park bench, feeding pigeons. You look like an ordinary person. You wear jeans. You eat sandwiches. You don't float. You don't have a halo. The secret, you say, is that there is no secret, and there is no you. They look confused. They want a technique. They want a 3-step method to manifest a Ferrari. You give them the method if they need it. You teach them to visualize. You teach them to ignore the senses. You hand them the dangerous book, but you know that eventually they will tire of the toys, they will come to the end of the rainbow, and find that the gold is a mirror. You realize your final job is not to manifest, but to be a lighthouse. You don't run around looking for ships to save. You just stand on your rock and shine. Your very presence harmonizes the environment. Your clarity dissolves the confusion of others. You go to the grocery store. The cashier is stressed. You look her in the eye. You see the goddess behind the tired mask. You acknowledge her. Thank you, you say. I appreciate you. She stops. She blinks. The mask slips. She smiles. A real, genuine smile. You're welcome, she whispers. You just performed a miracle. You remembered her into existence. You walk home. The sun is setting. The sky is a canvas of violet and gold. You appreciate the art. You compliment the painter. Nice work. You whisper to the silence. Thanks. The silence whispers back. You enter your home. You are content. You have nothing because you are everything. You need nothing, so everything flows to you. You sit in your chair. The same chair where, years ago, you sat in despair, holding a book that promised power. You look at the book on the shelf. You pick it up. You open the back cover. There is a blank page. You take a pen. You write one final sentence. The power was never in the book. The power was in the reader. You close the book. You close your eyes. You take a deep breath, and you begin the next dream. Epilogue, the wake-up call. The music swells cinematic, triumphant, yet quiet. This is not just a story. This script you have been listening to, it is not a distraction. It is an intervention. I am not a voice on a recording. I am your own subconscious speaking to you in a format you would accept. You attracted this video, you manifested these words because you are ready to. You are done with the struggle. You are done with the victimhood. You are ready to take the keys back. Look at your hand. Right now, look at it. Turn it over. Think of the intelligence that pumps the blood through those veins. Think of the power that knits the bones and digests your food without you lifting a finger. That power is you. It is waiting for your command. Stop begging. Stop hoping. Assume. Assume you are the person you want to be. Walk in that assumption. Sleep in that assumption. Ignore the evidence of your eyes and watch the world rearrange itself to fit your new shape. The book is closed. The lesson is over. The rest is up to you. Wake up.